And Sherry's late. She's supposed to be. Oh, yeah, she was going to join us because she wanted to do further conversation of what we talked about earlier.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so live on Facebook.
Lee, where are you?
I know. So hang on. So
You meant Sherry Lee, right?
Yeah, Sherry Lee Mathers, yeah. The Keeper's Corner group.
She said Sherry.
Well, I call her Sherry.
See my cool water bottle?
We're beyond that. We're like friends. Or there's other things I could call her too. No. I'm sure she calls me those things too. No, I love her. Seriously, she's awesome.
Yeah, I'm using my new water bottle.
Very nice.
Because I lost my other one at the airport.
Oh, where's the link? So she's
confiscated.
Okay. So we're live on Facebook first up now. So hey everybody, thanks for joining us on Facebook for Beyond the Cloud. I can't speak today, apparently. So we're just waiting for somebody else. We actually had a little bit of a discussion earlier that we thought would be really good to dig into. So I'm just posting the link here for her to join. So why don't we just take a look and just talk to who's here now. We can do a quick introduction to ourselves, and I don't know, what's a good question to ask? I didn't have a question ready today. You know what I posted? How about the one I posted on Facebook? So why don't we do a brief introduction of yourself? And I know, Carol, you've already answered this question anyway. I saw your answer, and I think Lillian's answered it too. But what do you prefer, going out for the evening with friends, or cuddling up for a quiet evening in a good book?
Yeah, I'm going to party. Sorry. I work so much, I very rarely get out. So if my friends are phoning and saying, hey, you want to go out and I don't drink, but go out for an evening out, then yeah, I'm gone. So call me anytime.
All right. Okay. So I know Bianca and Sherry Lee just joined us. So Bianca, Sherry Lee, and Lillian, you guys are all muted. So I don't know if you're purposely muted or if you want to mute yourselves. So we'll just do a brief introduction. Let me know. I guess I posted this in the Facebook group, but do you have a preference to going out for a social night with friends, or just cuddling up for a quiet evening in a good book?
Well, I'm Lillian Larson, and for me, I'd rather go partying.
So you and Carol can go together.
Me too.
Okay, you, Carol, and Bianca.
Oh, Bianca, you're on the island, aren't you?
No. I'm in Burnaby, Vancouver.
Oh, I'm only in Maple Ridge.
Oh, well, we should party.
I was just going to party together, so.
No, because I'm going to the island in 2 weeks for a payroll thing.
Oh, cool. Sherry's on the island.
A payroll thing? What payroll thing?
It's the Canadian Payroll Association. They have a course, and I missed it in Vancouver here because I was in Newfoundland. So I'm taking it in Victoria in September.
Are you payroll registered?
What's that?
I said, are you payroll registered?
Payroll registered?
So she doesn't have her designation yet. She just joined.
No, I just joined the Canadian Payroll Association.
Yeah, we used to be members of them. I never went through for my designation either. But I found I just didn't get anything out of it. I paid for 2 years, and I didn't have the need for it. So we backed out for, temporarily. All right. So Deb and Shirley.
It depends on where they're going. I kind of like cuddling up a lot on Friday nights. I'm an introvert extrovert, totally.
You also have beautiful fuzzy dogs. I would probably be with them.
See, I knew that about her because we like to go to conferences, and if we get there early, we'll generally go in and grab a room because her roommates won't go to the next day. And it's so nice. I have to say, I love having her as a roommate, even though it's only a day. It's nice because I'm a nice, calm person too. And we can just sit down, forget everybody else. Let's just sit down. Let's have some bonding time. And it's really nice to do that, especially before you're about to go into a conference and be like,
hey, hello. How are you?
Yeah, I'm definitely that introvert extrovert person. So it depends. But if it's something like super exciting going on, especially like those evening conference things, I'm definitely out. I'm out having fun.
Yeah. See, with me it depends. Yeah.
even the most boring things, like if me and my friends are literally going to do something boring, it ends up being like over the top. Everyone just like wants to come around us because we just make everything so exciting. I love it.
We did a quick story here. Then Deb's got to answer. I can't forget about Deb. But I went out. It's funny you say that, Bianca, because we were like, I don't know, 2021, went away for the weekend with our friends, and it poured. Right, cottage country, middle of summer, it's supposed to be great. It poured, and not just rain. It poured to the point where you're not even going to want to run out to the car to do anything. And we're like, great, we're up in the beach, the beaches. And so what did we end up doing? We ended up we went through what they had because we didn't bring stuff to keep us occupied. They didn't have any games. They didn't have anything. So we grabbed it was kind of like almost cheap camping gear type of the pots and pans, the really thin stuff, and aluminum foil. And we played tennis. So I can just imagine them coming up to cleaning, finding about 300 little rolled up tinfoil balls under all the furniture.
There must have been at least some drinking involved
Lots of alcohol
to come up with that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Deb.
Nothing. I'm boring. I just like to stay home.
It's the snakes. They force you. Sorry, you're not going to get away from that. Ever, you're just.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I just stay home and, work and stay home and enjoy the property and out here being in the boonies with nobody is but me.
Well, and you know what, though? You've got nature all around you, and that is so peaceful and relaxing.
Well, not last week. I had a skunk.
Ooh.
Dogs met him face to face and the other end as well.
Oh.
They'll stink forever. Every time your dog gets wet, it's gonna
Yeah. So it was a midnight 4-dog bath wash for I don't remember how many hours.
Oh my God.
So sometimes nature isn't as pleasant as you'd think.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay, well then, yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to be in your neck of the woods doing your thing last week.
Not for miles, because it was pretty pungent. So.
Wow.
I actually thought of you, Deb. I was listening when you were talking about that. And so I don't like snakes at all. And we just have garter snakes here. And this past year, I've moved all my strawberries into hanging baskets because I dislike so much going to pick and then a snake coming out. And I was just like, oh man, I am so glad these are just garter snakes hanging. I'm like, I couldn't even live in Colorado.
Yeah. Rattlesnakes are not pleasant.
Oh, Colorado and Texas would have a lot of them too, right?
Yeah. Well, and like in Colorado, further than me, they have the Tarantula Run, and it goes in September, and that has been going on. I don't know when it ends, but that is currently going on. But thank goodness that is south of me. I have not seen those.
I'm staying in Maple Ridge.
Yeah, that would be scary, I think.
Yes. Well,
Do you have a topic today? Sorry,
she's just really excited. So yes, so we've kind of been going the last couple of weeks, kind of just general without a topic, but we had a conversation in our monthly boot camp call today, and it's actually a really important one. And your mom, Bianca, needs to be here for this one, and I forgot to send her a note saying you need to come. So hopefully she'll show up.
I can take care of that. I have an inside connection.
Perfect. Do it, because she feels very passionately about this as well too. Facebook is off. Sorry, someone just said.
Yeah, I was just actually looking at that myself because I was going to post a snake picture there so everybody could see it since I can't share it on my screen.
Oh.
yeah, no, it's not. I'm not. I was looking too. I'm like, where's the Facebook Live thing?
Yeah.
I forgot to hit the last button to make it work.
Oh.
I just saw us working on it. I'm like, okay, it looks like it's working, but I forgot to hit the last button. That was all me this time.
So I want to, you just keep doing that. But I just kind of wanted to really hit on today the Amy Peterson. Hi, Amy, if you're out there.
No, it won't start live. So hang on, give me 1 second. Go live. No, it won't let me click go live. Okay, hang on. I may have to start. Oh, here's good.
Lillian, what are you doing?
All right, let me try this one more time. Diane,
Oh, I was just texting.
you heard we
you.
wanted you here. No, hang on. Yeah, I've just got to get us back on Facebook, but this is a topic that you are going to feel very strongly about, and that's Sherry's like, nope, we need Diane's input here too. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so hang on, let me try this
I had
one
a
more
little
time.
rant this morning a couple of times. Lillian was there, and I'm just like, and then I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yes. No, it was good. We need that stuff.
Yeah, okay, so hang on. So we're trying one more time on Facebook Live.
Mom, your mic's off.
Sorry, my mic's off?
No,
No,
my mic.
Diane's muted.
Okay.
She's just going like this. Uh-huh.
That's because she's really listening to the like heavy
I
metal.
wasn't sure whether the dogs are going to start barking any second, so that's one.
Okay, so let's see. This hopefully should go live properly this time. Redirecting to Facebook Live.
This webinar is now streaming live.
Oh,
on Facebook.
Perfect.
I
Okay,
got
good.
the notification.
Yay.
Ta-da. Hi,
Finally all here, or finally got that going. So sorry guys for anybody who's joining us on Facebook Live. I thought I had hit all the buttons to get it here. Finally got that going. So there we go. Okay, so topic. So we've already kind of done a brief introduction, so we're not going to repeat all that. So the topic has come from, and this is, that's what F. Sanders says she's here for too, is the rest of this topic. So those of us who are in boot camp, we're actually on, we had our monthly call earlier, and we started talking about, I can't remember exactly how it got into there. I'm going to share, before we get talking, I'm going to share this one post that came up earlier, and then a post that Sherry Pearson had or put up earlier. We started a lot, so everybody's going to not be surprised at this. So let me share my screen. So it came from a private group, so I'm not sharing the group information. I'm just sharing, this is the picture that's going out on Facebook. I know, Diane, you've seen this.
Oh, so many times.
Yeah, so this is going out. This is a live advertisement, the best side hustle for stay-at-home moms. When you click on the link, this is what comes up.
Yes.
And even if you have zero accounting experience,
Oh, great.
how easy it is that everybody needs a bookkeeper, which they do, but you can go through and learn in, 37 pages. Learn in the afternoon how to be a bookkeeper and do what we do in 37 pages.
They also have a Facebook page called Side Hustle,
Oh my gosh.
where unfortunately, I have to say this, unfortunately, there are quite a few bookkeepers that we all know personally on that page.
Wow.
Supporting it?
I'm not absolutely sure of the reasons that they're on that page. It would appear to me, and again, this is just my observations, that they're attempting to get business there, as in working with other bookkeepers.
Oh, gotcha.
Or maybe they're there to try to, say, hey guys, it's not really this easy, and maybe try to educate. I don't know. I'm not in the
I
group.
would hope so, but
I go in there as a consultant. Here, let me help you.
so here's the problem with that, Tanya, is that it does not appear that that is something that would be allowed to be posted
Wow.
on
Which makes
that
sense, because that's not what they want.
Facebook, because that's not what they are promoting. They're promoting what we just saw there. You don't need experience.
And that,
So they're not going to allow someone on the Facebook page say, that's wrong.
right.
You do, right? So
The admins haven't got to it yet, and it's going to be taken down soon.
Oh, I just can't believe that, like, when I saw that, I'm like, seriously? Like, we have such a hard time gaining respect these days as it is, let alone something like that going out there. And then, Sherry, you can talk about Amy's post that I'm sure some of you have seen as well too.
Yeah, and hers was, Amy's post was about losing clients to accounting firms.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And essentially where I ranted off was, again, we have to know who our customer is, our perfect, whatever our ideal customer, but I also it's the stuff Diane's been saying for eons is niching and moving away from where we're commoditized to something more important. So for me, I'm moving more into inventory, and doing certifications in inventory, and I'm looking at a different client base because of that commodity. But then we were talking about like what else can we do now to show our value as bookkeepers? What other kind of things can we do? So I was saying, like, it's on my current webpage, but it's being changed. I don't even put myself as a bookkeeper anymore because of exactly that kind of stuff. Sorry, Diane, I know.
I know no, I get it. It's a really rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah. So
Automating
you can either kind of try to ignore that stuff, or you can be like me and just absolutely commit to fighting it as much as possible.
A hard time.
And I don't judge anybody which way they're going with that. But in my heart, I've spent my entire career trying to fight this. So it's something I'm not going to stop doing now.
Yeah.
Also being able to maintain the relationships as we create actual physical distance between more and more and more of our clients. A lot of people need that rapport. They need that connection. They need that closivity, and that's not a part of all of our jobs anymore. So you have to go outside of that box and find other ways to have those relationships, because I feel like once the client becomes disconnected from you and your relationship and your appreciation for each other, that's when those things start to happen.
You're absolutely right. And that's, where we've always been different in the fact that, again, this is essentially my third career. I spent 17 years in the insurance industry, which overlapped with taxes, but I'm customer service. That's what I'm all about. So that's where we do things differently. We don't have our own clients, even though there's now 4 of us. We don't have this is your client, this is your client. We have everything set up, use our CRM to the fact that anybody can pick up the call and service that client, and it's all about the client. And we try to have those connections. And even as though we were getting so certain automated on certain things, we still make sure that we have a touch point with that client, a verbal or a face-to-face touch point, or a Zoom meeting every single month, a personal touch point every single month. Because you're right, if that loyalty goes, and they don't see the value in what they're getting from us, and they think they can get it from these tabletop bookkeepers or, whichever. And when I say those, like, I started on my kitchen table. I am not formally educated. I did not go to school for this, but I made sure that I knew what I was doing. I learned it. I was educated on taxes. I started doing taxes in 1997. I was trained by Liberty Tax. And then I just started digging in and learning more and more and more things every year and expanding that. And so to come over to bookkeeping was actually very easy to me, because it was just how to organize the information. I was already very compliant. So the first part of it, so more the data entry part of the bookkeeping, was easy on how to organize the information, because I already stood it from the other side, whereas I actually do feel bad for people who go from bookkeeping to taxes. I think that's worse to go that way than the way that I went. But I also made sure I connected with people and said, you know what? I've taken all these online courses. I've done my research. Like, I probably spent way more time than anybody in school did. But then I reached out to local bookkeepers and said, can I mentor under you for, a year or two? I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing, and I'm not messing things up. I'm not going to assume I know what I'm doing, because it was just me. I wasn't in a formal office environment. So I made sure that
being dedicated to that continuous learning is part of the professionalism. And I keep coming back to that word. It's the difference, right? Yeah. I mean, there's tons of industries out there where you have the professional, and then you have the person that's thinking they can just make a buck on it. So always focusing on being professional and all of the things that entails is so important. And that's where we have to get into the nitty gritty of constantly understanding what a professional is and even just what you just said right now, Tanya, the fact that your clients can call your office and anybody help them. Yeah. That says that you've set up the expertise in your office that anybody can answer the question that
Well,
the
and
company has.
and
That is the difference. Like that, just that little thing is an expert.
Well, and if
And-
they can't, so we've got Cindy who's just joined us this week. It's funny, we trained her to do her own bookkeeping. Then she decided to get into it. So we trained her, on more, again, the back end, not just the front end. So we trained her more in the back end. Then she joined boot camp. Now she's actually joined us, which is great because I know how she's trained. But she's not answering the phone yet. We keep her off the phone and keep her off email until I know she can answer those questions. Because just to have somebody sit there and answer and pass along, we've got voicemail that does that. Clients have that expectation already.
Yes.
So no, she's off the phones until we know that she can confidently and accurately answer.
So knowing how to build that team properly is also part of that. And you've spent a great deal of time learning exactly how to do that.
Yes.
All of those things we still have to continue to do because it's only the proof is in the pudding that will actually shut those other types of and I don't blame the bookkeepers that are the moms and whoever it is that wants to make more money going to a site like that. They don't know any difference.
Right.
Just read this kind of stuff and go, oh wow, that's a way I can make some money. So by us being bigger out there
and noisier
and in more places than they are, they're going to come across us. And you can't be sitting on that side hustle Facebook and not come across the other side. And then pretty quick, if you're smart and you really give a shit, you'll go towards that side and go, oh, wait a second, I should learn some stuff here.
I think, more importantly, it's also your reputation.
Absolutely.
We have a reputation amongst our peers, each other, plus our clients, plus the industry, plus the software companies. Like, I don't think I'd want to be caught dead on a site like that because I feel like it would just bring my quota way down.
Well, not only that, if you're working for a client doing their books, and I actually had a client say that to me when something wasn't working right in Receipt Bank the way he wanted it to work. And he says, well, aren't you the ambassador for Receipt Bank? Aren't you supposed to make this work perfectly exactly the way I want it? I'm like, no.
I'm not paid by Receipt Bank.
I'm not the expert either, but let's see how we can fix it. So end up being user error, not Receipt Bank error, other than the multi-currency and the whole blah, 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 which we won't get into. Right, Shirley?
But the industry is moving to being commoditized. Yeah. It's totally being commoditized.
Oh, no. Can I just say something, Shirley? The industry is not. It is the what we do, the data that is being commoditized, right? And we have to remember that we're still, again, that professional bookkeeper that knows more and can handle more than just data entry. And that's what's being commoditized is the data entry.
Exactly. Well, remember, this is beginner expert syndrome. This is what we have to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be part of that generation. I love this stuff. I embrace it. I love being part of the beta testing and the kinks, as painful as it is. I mean, look, we all complain profusely about crap on Facebook in our forums, but we get through it. And guess what? We come out being the experts.
Yep. Yeah.
Or we complain enough to the software apps that they change it to the way we want it to work.
Yeah, they use our feedback. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, some of it is learning the apps that we can, introduce to, solve those kinds of pain points. I know some people are sick of hearing solving pain points, that, they hear it all the time, just like they hear trusted advisor. But you know what? Like, realistically, that's how we keep the loyalty of our clients, is to help them, be that trusted person, whatever you want to call it, and to help them solve their pain points and work through it, and not just the compliance pain points. Make them realize that we have more. And I mean, like, Diane, your business name, and had I have been looking ahead, which I wasn't really at that point when I rebranded, so I'm not going to do it now again, but I would have actually picked Cloud Business Services instead of bookkeeping.
Right.
I'm not doing it again. We're now incorporated. It's stuck in the name, but
way back in the 90s, I wasn't putting bookkeeper in my name.
Yeah.
And I didn't in mine either for that very reason. I wanted
Missionary.
I can do more than just bookkeeping.
Yeah.
See, and I was thinking, what's the tags? What's going to come up? Which is good. Like, I mean, Sherry Lee, like she putting like cloud bookkeeping and boom, like we came up a whole bunch of times. So it's working on Google. So Google likes it. But, you know, so it's kind of like, okay, it's good for Google. I'm getting the hits. I'm getting that because that's what people are looking up. But then on the other side, again, it doesn't really, you know, talk about what we do.
But it only works until the next business comes with a very similar format and the SEO. So you're going to keep getting trumped, like no matter what, unless you have someone keeping up with your SEOs.
Yeah.
We just have to keep being bigger than them. It's always going to be a struggle, right? So we have to be more social media, more everything out there in their face so that eventually we're always going to be on top. They'll always be there, but we're always going to be on top. And the business owners are going to always go to the best. If they don't want to go to the best, then we don't want them anyways.
No.
Exactly.
So
I don't know about going to the best. It's actually choosing what they value. So
we're always going to
somebody referred to me and they were coming for a certain thing, but then realizing, hi Teresa, then realizing that they didn't really value that.
Want them anyways.
No.
Exactly.
So
I don't know about going to the best. It's actually choosing what they value.
but somebody has Facebook Live open, and it's if you close down Facebook Live, then that'll go away.
Yeah, that's, I've got on my phone to answer, but my volume is turned right down because otherwise, I get.
That's when that happens, is when somebody's got Facebook Live going too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again, Sherry Lee, so we can hear you now.
I don't know. I got sidetracked there.
About going to the best. You didn't think it was going to the best. It was about them seeing value.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they didn't see value. So they came to me. I thought for sure I was giving them exactly because they agreed. We went through it. Like I spent over 3 hours of fact finding going through. Then when I gave them the quote, they were just like, oh, I don't think you really understand. I don't really need this. My business is this and this and this. And all I really need is to make sure that the year end is good. I need it set up and the year end goes in good. And I need you to help me set up all the rules and that. And I was like, and then I thought, you know what? And as the days gone on, I'm like, you know what? This isn't my ideal client. My ideal client doesn't wait until December to make sure that everything's posted correctly.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time, I almost turned somebody away yesterday until I was saying, well, maybe I can help you find somebody else because I don't have capacity. And then she, you know, used the word e-commerce and I went, oh, yeah. And then she talked about Kajabi and I'm like, oh, well, now you're talking my
language,
my ideal client. I love the connections. I love doing, and I said, I love the data management. And I said, and it's not simply I connect it once. I said, nowadays, everything has to be, I said, I'm babysitting and I'm watching. I'm that babysitter that knows where everything needs to go and when it's not going there. Mm-hmm. So I can make sure here's what's happening. And so our discussions this morning we were talking about is, okay, well, if we move into sort of being the accounting technologist in data management, what other services can we offer? So when you look at things like Chata's new cash flow that they've just released, that needs 1 to 2 years of data, clean data. So what's the value to the client, you know? So do you have somebody who just wants compliance? Well, again, not the ideal client. Do we want somebody who actually wants that? So now Extra Services is going back and getting the data in correctly. It's not cash-based. So, you know, sorry, I'm just ranting off. And I'm seeing Teresa nod her head. And I'm just like, yes.
but for some, right, you've already specialized and you've already decided which road you're going down. But for some, a client that's talking about wanting to be kept out of jail and be very compliant on absolutely everything could be speaking to another bookkeeper. Yeah. That doesn't excuse that bookkeeper to not be completely educated and well-versed and know exactly what they should be doing just because that's where their niche is and they don't want to move into inventory or e-commerce, or, I mean, there's enough room out there for everybody if you know what your niche is and you actually market to that client.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get on the phone with that client, just like Charity just said, you'll hear the words to tell you whether or not that is a client that you're probably going to be able to work with, or you pass them on to another professional bookkeeper.
Yeah. Well, it's like here, we've got clients that are compliance based, but I have employees. I need to keep them. If they are the right, so I don't necessarily, niche in an industry per se. I do know I have referred that, Teresa just referred somebody over to her, because they wanted somebody that was really good with their e-commerce, Shopify. I'm like, Teresa, Shopify queen, not even going there, not going to pretend I know what I'm doing, just pass it right along. Multi-currency, you know what? I would, if they wanted to deal with somebody in BC, I would send them to either Sherry Lee Mathers or probably Leanna Butcher, because I know the two of them very well. I know that, that they know their multi-currency and they love their multi-currencies. Not to say there's not other people out there too, by the way. These are just people that I know for a fact, right? But excuse me, sorry, allergies active.
I'd love to see us get a database together of who specializes in what.
I did put that, I'll bring it back up. I did put that, it is in our group that we did. What type of clients do you specialize in? So I'll bring it back, I'll find it and bring it back up to the top. Maybe I'll put it as a pinned post. So that way you can refer things to. But, so for us, it's more the person. So it's a little bit the industry. I prefer service-based. We've got some restaurants, we've got some stores. I don't want somebody who really has like really in-depth inventory that they don't have on their own, in their own inventory system. So again, I know what I want, but it's more the person. Do they want to work with us? If it's catch up, I'll help them catch up, but they need to want to do better. They need to want to communicate. They need to want to better their business. So again, I'm looking more, kind of the person.
Yeah.
Versus an industry as to can we work with them? And then again, depending on, so I won't deal with manufacturing either. I'm like, no, I'll let there's again, somebody else who specializes in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would be a cool thing to be able to have a place where clients could search.
Yeah.
A great place for that would be IPBC's website, the new website, actually, if they built that in and someone as a business owner was being able to go to that website and search that I'm looking for a bookkeeper that specializes in this, this, and this.
Well, and we have a new board member on here who can take that idea forward, right?
There we go.
Diane, I would have to say I'd be a little bit reluctant with that because I do know that there is a labeled CPB in my neighborhood, and what she charges for bookkeeping, I don't know how she even feeds herself.
Wow.
But that's not a big
That's
deal.
her undervaluing herself.
That'll get weeded out just because clients don't want to pay or they think, like it's that you can't. Yeah, I don't see that as a reason not to be able to.
I know with me, I'm very frugal, with things, but I want the best quality. But if I call and something is too low, I won't go with that. I'm not doing it to be cheap. I want to pay the lowest dollar for the maximum quality.
Yeah.
And I know that, if I'm willing to negotiate on the dollar, not on the quality. So, but if they're too low on anything that I call around for, why? Why is my question.
I almost wanted to call her and ask her, but out of respect as a bookkeeper, I wouldn't. But
well, there are business owners.
I'm like,
well, maybe you can help her understand her value and raise her prices.
If she's a CPP, she should be understanding her value.
well, she don't.
You would think, like, there's people that I've worked with in boot camp that are CPBs, and I mean, it's still, they've got the knowledge, they don't have the confidence.
That's right.
And, so the knowledge got them their CPB, the confidence didn't. And when I'm working with them and I'm hearing them that they're still charging, like $30, $40 an hour, they're new people in, and they're saying, no. And to get people to turn around and tell them to start, I want you to be charging $150 an hour for this if you're going to break this out in an hour. And let's do this and let's do that. And again, it takes a while to work with them. And, by the time we're done, sometimes it's almost a year because they want to go into smaller steps. But yeah, they're easily charging double and they've got that confidence. And then they call me and they're like, Tanya, somebody called and he wanted to do it this and that's double what I would have charged him. I said that was too low. Yes. I love those calls. But, it's the confidence. So again, just because somebody's got their CPB, I don't think that.
But they've been exposed to it. It's not like they're thinking, that's a going rate. All of us are out there pretty openly talking about the rates. Now, I understand that there's different locations, and depending on where you are, you can't, in Vancouver, you can charge a whole lot more than you can in Timbuktu.
But how much are they?
But there's still a range.
Like, how much are they really interacting with IPB? Because again, like, just they've got their CPB, but maybe they're not realizing the value that could be, that could be got out of it and the potential. And maybe they just
then I'm going to go back and ask, are we having webinars on those topics? Is IPBC actually, reaching out and making sure that everyone does understand their value and builds their confidence?
Yeah.
It's kind of their responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of CPBs are bookkeepers, obviously, before they get their designation. And then you kind of get in that awkward place where your clients that you have get grandfathered in at these horrible rates when you're desperate for business. And I think that is a part of it when you have new CPBs.
Yeah. How do you bring those clients up?
Yeah.
We did a session on that. We should.
Yeah. Every year.
How you do that.
And I have clients, I will say this, and there are some clients that are out there, and that if you look at my average, hope my clients aren't watching this, some of them are paying like, in between $75 to $100 an hour. Mm-hmm. Then I have my grandfathered clients who I will say I still bill 2 of them at $35 an hour. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one who works on them. They're a great source of referral. They're not a lot. They pay on time every month. And I sat down, and there's 4 that grandfathered in, 2 at 35, 2 at 40. But I sat there and I looked at it and I said, you know what? What's their relationship worth to me? They are my original 4, my very first 4 clients. They're a great source of referral. They know nobody else is going to get anywhere near that price, so don't even tell anybody. But because they're so great to work with in all other ways, I chose to grandfather them in. All the other clients I had at that point, I said, here's your new price, take it or leave it. And I did it one at a time when I replaced them with somebody new that was paying more. So I weeded everybody else out pretty much, unless they wanted to pay my new price.
We did the same, Tanya.
Yeah.
That's exactly the process we went through.
Yeah.
But you have to, you have to remind yourself, you can't help anybody if you go out of business.
Well, exactly. And sometimes you have to do it one at a time. And I know some of the bookkeepers that I work with that they feel guilty about grandfathering people. And then they say, first off, you can't grandfather everybody in because you'll never get ahead. But it's okay to pick those few that are great source of referrals, great payment, wonderful to deal with. It's okay to pick a few to do that. But then, start recycling.
Does anybody find that they're starting to get a bit of pressure down on their prices? Because the clients going back and saying, it's a little bit much?
No, but the software costs are eating away at the pricing.
Yes, that's a big problem. Yep.
Yep.
As well as the accounting firms that are now literally just doing cash-based accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And just working from the bank feed and statements and not actual.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So, and we've got that because we're doing that right now. We're raising everybody's prices, and some are just getting a 3% raise, 3% increase. Some are getting 3% plus the software. So we're showing the software separately, completely, like the QBO, the ones that they need. Everything else that we've got, I've kind of got included. Here's the value, but it's included in the price, But so my QBO and my payroll are definitely going separate because those are the ones that, again, QBO took a big increase.
Variable.
So I'm like, nope, here's most of your increases is related to this. We're going to show it separate so that they know it's not part of our services. And then there's a few people that have given pushback because our work has definitely gone up more, or I priced them too low to begin with, and so now we're right pricing them or whatever. And basically we're just reinstituting our value with them. And then if they want to negotiate, I'm now going back and saying, okay, let's negotiate on services. If you want to bring the price down and you want to stay with us, here's the only option. Let's start bringing some of this in-house. You can handle some of this stuff. Maybe they could take on their payroll. We'll teach them to do it. We'll give them support, but they've got to do some more. Otherwise, we're just not going to be the right fit, and that's all there is to it. And I'm okay for losing them.
You go, Tanya.
So I think what I'm hearing is that what you can do is offer a la carte stuff.
Yes, that's
And
and
then
that's
have
okay.
them fill in and do other things. If they are coming to you and saying, oh, I can't afford $500 a month, and you talk about, well, what is their realistic budget?
Mhm.
And I'm saying realistic because maybe they're not realistic about what their budget should be,
Right.
right? But their realistic budget, and then say, well, okay, then you're taking away services. And I mean, you talk about that in your right pricing,
Right sizing.
right
Yes,
sizing.
the right packet, the right
And-
services, the right price.
And Ron Baker talked about that back 5 years ago, right? That, you're going to take away a service, not ever reduce the price.
Yeah.
And maybe that means doing some training. Because again, we do that. We'll say to them, well, why don't we train you or an employee to take over this part of it? So we can work that out with them. And we had one client, they're amazing people, great clients, like one of our ideal clients, but we raised them. She just truly couldn't afford it. They've got 2 companies, a farming and a logging company. They don't really make a whole lot up here. I know their margins. So, we talked to her. She says, okay. She says, what can we do? I said, well, are you willing to take some of this over? She took over payroll. Great. I don't have to sit there and worry about, running the payroll. So we kept her the same. She took over the payroll instead of giving her 3% increase or whatever it was. It wasn't a whole lot because she was, again, still one of our originals. So she was really low. We don't do a lot of work on them. But, she saved, 20, 25 bucks a month, and she took over her payroll. It was more well worth it for me to pass it over to her. 2 pay runs a month, me having to be there and process it on a certain day, and then, process the payroll liabilities. We taught her to do that. And she does still step in whenever there's a stat holiday. She's still uncomfortable or there's still the odd time. No problem. She'll call us. We'll help her through that. We'll run it on the stat holidays for her. But she took over the rest of it. Worked for
And
me.
I think part of the
when she calls you, because she doesn't know how to do the stat holiday, and you take the time to help her with that, how do you price that?
We don't, because she's got 2 employees and it takes us literally 5 minutes to run it. When I actually look, she's one of the ones that probably on average is $100 an hour because of the amount that we don't do a lot on her file. If we did, then yes, I would say, well, you know what, we're going to have to, up your price to include that, or we'll teach you here. We'll do a video, we'll record it so you can play this back, or we would do, come up with something else.
I'm just going to say this.
I know. Just a quick question and charge
Just
for
a
it.
quick question will put you in, the poorhouse.
I know. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Put it as a service. Just a quick question. After you
That
train
is such a
people,
great point, Diane.
Pardon me?
I mean, I said that's such a great point. I had those quick questions definitely take a lot of time. I had one client. It was a training client. I did 2 hours. He was very happy. He called me once. I have a quick question. I said, okay. He had another question. Okay. Had another question. Finally, I said, I think we need to do an hour session. And a few years ago, I would not have said that, but I think it's a confident, well, obviously Tanya does it, but, for me, it was very much a confidence thing to be able to, know your value as a bookkeeper and the work that you do. And I think a lot of bookkeepers that undercharge for their services are because they're sort of almost like lone wolves. They don't have, the camaraderie like we have of others and kind of like throw this stuff around.
Well,
For sure.
and Lillian, you're talking from somebody who you were the lone wolf, but a year and a half ago.
Yes, I was, and my prices definitely showed it. And, I make a lot more than I made then.
So if
Thank
one
you,
of
Tanya.
the,
Camper.
if one of the trends is that we do a little bit more training and a little bit more a la carte, then that's what's going to result out of that a la carte is just a quick question constantly. So that would be certainly something that I would be pretty aware of watching for. And as you guys know, that's literally on my booking. They can book me for just a quick question, but they know they'll get paid. They'll get charged for it.
See,
So
we essentially, and again, thank goodness this is only in our private one, we essentially add in an hour for things like that. We add in like for our review. Our review takes 15 minutes, you know, so we kind of give a bit of a buffer for that as it is in the pricing. But you're right. It absolutely cannot. You can't have some people
that works really well
every day.
That works really well when you're doing a flat fee and you're, you know, but when you start doing a la carte,
yes, you're right.
Then that's going to become a real big problem for.
Yeah. And Barb Easter actually had said, and she's with Dry Run, and she said that that's a very great point, Diane, too, with the just a quick question.
You can have a lot of just quick questions.
Well, and yeah, they can. And that's like Diane's very.
I have a client that's just one more question came.
Yep.
Oh, just one more question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it. It can add up, and
it's additional revenue. I'm telling you guys, like I literally probably get on an average 10 to 15 bookings that are just a quick question.
Yeah.
So these people are doing either all of their own bookkeeping or they're doing the majority of the bookkeeping. These are not my regular clients even. Right. And they're booking that because they just need a bookkeeping question answered.
Right.
On your website, Diane?
It's right on my website. And when people, it's on my link where they can go in and book.
Right. And so with us, the clients that do their own bookkeeping, we actually have them on a support plan, which they get basically up to an hour a month that we can do on a call. So that's kind of, again, lumped into there. If they don't want to take their hour and have a formal one, then they can do just a quick questions throughout the month, but then they don't get their hour one, but by email or phone call. If it was somebody else, you know what, I absolutely would charge for that. My just a quick question though, I don't do that. Maybe it's something that we should. We tell them it's $75 an hour, minimum 1 hour.
And you know, the other thing I'll say is we should do that within ourselves too, because boy, oh boy, there has been numerous times that I would have liked to have been able to book 15 minutes with Tanya or Sherry Lee for just a quick, or Teresa, for just a quick question that
I would do it for free. I've told you that anytime. Yeah. I love talking to you.
Well, you're a sweetheart, but really, you know, like we all have to start to, I think, protect ourselves. And yes, we're colleagues and we all love each other. And, you know, in a forum like this, answering somebody's question is great. But if we're starting to phone each other.
Yeah, engineers charge other engineers. It's a
absolutely. Again, it's all that part of being professional, right? So I would love to be able to, you know, book just a quick question to Sherry Lee on something or somebody else. And I would be happy to pay for it because we don't have to go through any of the basics. I know, you know, the majority of stuff. You're just answering a pretty quick question for me, but it's going to then propel me into exactly what I need to do for that client and move forward. So I'm going to make money on that. Why shouldn't I pay for your time to do that, right?
Yes.
Can I get a family discount?
Diane, says the lady who gave me over an hour plus of your time, hours, and wouldn't take anything and wouldn't send me an invoice. So hold on, I'm throwing that back at you.
But there's so many that have become real experts. I mean, I'm not talking about a silly, I can't get my head around this, you know, this
brainstorming.
Yeah, you know, help me with this transaction. I can't get my head around what I should do here. I'm not talking about that so much, but if I've got a question on something that you guys really know about, like an app or a software that you're using and you've got lots of experience on it, then hey, I'm happy to. Yeah, that's your expertise. I'm happy to pay for it.
You're right, and there's different.
I did that with a session with Eileen Reppenhagen back in April. When I had to do something, it was to do with investments and using Quicken for a client that I had no idea what to do. So
yeah,
quick training session with her. She sent me an invoice. I was glad to pay it, charged it out to the client. No big deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
all just more about that professionalism and treating each other professionally too.
No, absolutely.
Sure,
Absolutely.
you wouldn't send me an invoice either.
Yeah, I know. Okay, do what I say, not as I do.
What's that?
I said, okay, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, Shirley and I, we're like, I don't know, almost every weekend. We talk several times a week, but we learn from each other. We're also friends too, so it's not just that, but we learn from each other all the time. Actually, it's funny, my daughter used to call, I don't know if I've said this like publicly on here, but my daughter used to come down and she says, oh, she says, you're having a booze camp call, are you? Because we'd be drinking our wines. She started calling me a virtual alcoholic because I'm drinking alone. I'm like, Sherry's right there. So
Play all your secrets.
yeah. Yeah, but no, you're right. It's there, and you're right. There are some people that I've called up, like if I had anything, if I did want to get into the Shopify, I absolutely would reach out to Teresa. I would expect to be charged for that. That's why when that one client, I didn't know, what Teresa's bandwidth was like. So that's why I said in the email to the one client, I said, if she can't take you, I said, then I'm sure she, we could work something out that she could handle that part of it. But she's, nope, we got bandwidth. Great. Take it all.
She's doing good. She's doing good. Getting organized. So
Good. Well, and this funny thing is when I emailed back to the person who originally, to like Lisa Campbell, who originally referred her to me, I said, yep, I've referred her over to, to the Shopify queen. She's good. She says, oh, you must mean Teresa Slack. So your reputation precedes you.
I do love it.
Yeah, awesome.
So I'm curious, when we're talking about value then, so what is everybody else doing to communicate their value in where the changes are? I mean, it's pretty clear with Teresa, you're communicating value of knowing that niche and knowing it inside and out and how to understand it. But the beginning question is, how do these bookkeepers who don't have niches, aren't moving into them, how do they go about communicating their value, being above that kitchen table person and communicating their value as to why the client should stay with them versus going to the accounting firm who's going to offer an all-in-one solution? So what are other people doing, and what are other people doing to protect themselves in the future?
I think it's learning how to communicate your value. It doesn't matter whether you have a niche or not. But I think we in our industry have a lot to learn about how to communicate it, because our clients don't understand bookkeeping. So if you're talking to them and you're saying, well, I'm going to reconcile your bank account, they don't care. They don't even know what that means. They don't know why you would even do that for them. So it's learning to use different words that helps them understand why that would even be important to them, so that when you're communicating these things, they're going, oh, I see why I need that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, and you do that? Oh, and that's why you do that. Oh, I see. And here's the pain that you're solving. So I think it's learning a process of identifying their pain and how you actually solve that pain. So it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if you have a niche or not. It's learning the right words and the right techniques to help them understand how you're going to help them and what differentiates you from the other services that are out there. So it's learning sales techniques. And
that's a really good point, because I actually put together for a new client and gave them, here is everything I'm going to do, and put it in, instead of just here's the listing, it was like, here is everything that's going to happen on the conversion. And we went through it, and here is your options. Here is with payroll and everything we're going to go through. And I actually broke it down column wise and went through it with Tanya, and she was just like, oh, wow, didn't even really think about it this way. But when I went through it with the client and said, okay, your previous bookkeeper said that there's a free online, you can just convert it with a button. Well, no, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to make sure these balances, I'm going to verify. So I broke it down into way too much, but then we actually spent an hour going through everything. And he just says, oh, I had no idea so much was involved.
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is where my understanding where everything goes and that data management. I said, it's like the mechanic who understands how your car works. I said, that's what my job is. Even though it's going to, you're just going to put the gas in or whatever, I'm going to make sure that the oil is topped up and everything is working correctly. And so in the end, they still went for the cheapest package, but we're going to go with that because it's a new business and we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm totally fine with that because I can see where I'm going to be able to work with them. But he got an immediate appreciation when it was laid out and explained exactly what you're saying. Here's how it's different. So when I say, I'm not just the bookkeeper that you had before that took everything and just entered it. Here's what we're doing and here's why we're doing it. We want data because we want you to be on a cash flow plan. We want you to be able to have this in there clean. We're not just going to quickly enter here, here, and here. One of the extra services, so KNIT, I'm setting up the complete workflow and onboarding and getting everything in on KNIT. So they're going to have, it's in restaurant industry, they're going to have, I'm setting up the hand washing policy in there. They sent it to me, but here's where it's going in. You have to have for your client onboarding. So setting up that whole onboarding, we're going to set up the hand washing policy that the employee has to read and sign off of, the anti-bullying policy that they have to read and sign off on. So not just the bookkeeping, but these are those extra services that he wasn't going to get before. And I'm like, no, it's all in here and it'll all be documented.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to see everything. So I think they're already looking at me in a whole different light as being sort of a different level of not just a bookkeeper, because I didn't put myself as a data entry person.
Right.
And they see depth. They see a lot of depth in what you'll be able to provide. So showing them that depth is huge, because I can guarantee you that's been a thought that's gone through their mind before. Geez, we don't have a really good policy around bringing on new employees. And then we deal with all of the issues that happen after the fact because we didn't, we don't have an anti-bullying, we don't have the hand washing, all of those things you just mentioned. This is not news to them. It might be something they've never done anything with, but it's sitting in the back of their mind. And when someone actually brings it out and says, this is what we can fix, you're not only fixing their bookkeeping, you're fixing a whole lot of things in their business. And that's really value-wise, they see the value in that because it's over and above the data entry.
Exactly, but they're not seeing it as bookkeeping either. And I didn't communicate it that way as bookkeeping.
It's really hard to price that stuff out, though. I constantly have my clients coming to me because they know I'm so resourceful and I'm like, we got everything in the industry and the technology. So they want those things from me and they want me to apply it to all aspects of their business. And I'm like, well, that's kind of outside of my scope of work. But, like, where do you draw those lines? It's like, but I do it and I just build them.
Bianca, you say, I absolutely can do that for you. It's an out of scope thing of where you're at now. So let me give you a quote for that.
Yeah, totally.
You have to, otherwise you'll end up working.
It's a proposal, Bianca.
Totally.
$30 an hour because you'll be doing everything else.
Yeah.
You're not charging for it.
Yeah, I know one thing that I do, and I love what Sherry Lee did. Like, I was blown away when she said that, and it was like, wow, it was, again, very eye-opening for them to realize what all goes into what we do, even just on the compliance side. But part of what I have my conversation is with them, and anybody who's, seen my right sizing videos, has heard this, is it's kind of like when they call, they're kind of like, they know what we want. This is what I want. So I kind of go into one of those property virgins, property brothers, love it, listed conversations. They basically, it's like, okay, what do you want? You price them for it. Cause they're like, yep, I want this and this and this and this. And they've got their budget in mind. So you take them, you show them what they want. And they're like, wow, this is exactly what I want. And then you're like, okay, what do you think this is going to cost you? And they're like, I think this house is going to cost me, $250,000. And you're like, sorry, it's 1.5 mil. Right? And then,
I like it.
Let's come down to reality. Let's figure out what you truly value, what it, and what it's going to
What are the six must-haves in your house? Yeah.
Exactly.
A bathroom,
something like that. And I find that having that as part of the conversation works really well, because it really kind of helps them. Oh, okay, I didn't realize. And then sometimes I even tell them why we need to do things, that, you know what, we need to do this, this, and this, and this is compliance. Because if they, like my child, I treat my clients like my children, and not in a bad way, but my mother was a because I told you so person. Everything was because I told you
That was
so.
mine.
And I said, I will never do that to my child, because I didn't understand why. So whenever I had Elizabeth, and it was like, I told her no, I think twice I didn't tell her why, because it was not a good situation to explain at that point in time. But I would sit down with her, explain why, so that way she would get her reasoning and start to understand. And I found when I started using that with our clients, they're like, oh, I didn't get it. Just like when Sherry Lee, like when Sherry Lee turned around and laid it out. This is what all is involved, even in the basic compliance. Oh, I didn't realize. It kind of changes the way that they view it, right? So
It was totally a different, but that's again, you know, at the beginning, how are we differentiating ourselves? How are we changing what we're doing? How are we, I have to admit, I don't really spend a lot of time with IPBC anymore, because I don't feel, or what I've seen, I'm not getting those kind of things coming, you know, back. But that's my own. I'm not actually, you know,
So
looking.
they're not providing the education that you want right now on those things that are moving us forward. I hear you.
Like, I'm not
hopefully
seeing.
that will change.
I have to admit, I looked through only this morning. I didn't see anything in the conference on how to address any of this. You know, how do you address your, I mean, I can see things on workflow and whatever, but I wasn't seeing anything on how are you dealing with technology with your client? How are you showing how the job has changed? Like, to me, that's just that's where we should be at.
And you're right. And if the organization is supposed to help us further ourselves, we need that information, people to be able to, you know, bring those experts in, people that are doing a good job at this, to teach the rest of us. Because if we don't know how to do it.
Right. I mean, like, to me, it's technology is, you know, and Tanya and I had a conversation this morning. I'm moving my relationships. I'm recognizing my relationships are no longer with the accounting app. It's more into what apps are helping me and what my niches are. So my time is better spent now with Chata, with, you know, inventory apps, with whatever. Those are where, because to me, the accounting platforms are just accounting platforms now. They're just something I need, the basic. It's like getting in my car. I need my car, but boy, when I want a good stereo, I'm focusing on who am I going to go to get that really good stereo and the sound I need.
Yeah, it's just a tool. It's just a tool, the app, or the software. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the apps
they all do it a little bit differently, but they all, in the end, do the same thing.
Yeah, and it's so now where and how am I going to, when my client is saying, well, you know, Danny DeVito says it's easy to do an invoice and send this and do that. I know you just love my Danny DeVito thing. I'm just like, but
what does Danny DeVito do for a living? Danny DeVito's not a bookkeeper. Danny DeVito doesn't do his books for his business. Danny DeVito is an actor to sell things.
Exactly. But I mean,
people need to realize that.
Where and what are, you know, are, anyways, I'm just going to shut up now.
Alan.
So I'll talk about something that I have always done, and it's pretty old school, but I have never seen a reason to change it, because it does show the client value right away. And I pretty much close, I mean, at least 98, if not 100% of anybody that comes across my desk that I spend any time in. And that is showing them the depth of the knowledge that I have. And it starts with the balance sheet.
Yeah.
And they see all the reflective awards you have up on your shelf there.
Well, I don't have very many clients coming to the office anymore to see all of that up there, Bianca. But if, you know, sitting down with a new client and pulling off their profit and loss and their balance sheet, and going through that with them and showing them all of the areas that they're hidden in the numbers.
Yeah.
David has an amazing course, and I'm not sure if it's still free, and it's called Beating Up the Balance Sheet. Absolutely amazing.
You see, nobody that doesn't understand bookkeeping can do that.
Yeah.
Nobody that is, you know, thinking that they can get into this industry and just do data entry can do that.
Yeah.
And that instantly puts you apart from anybody else that they've talked to that's not of the caliber that you are. So it's worked every single time for, you know, the last 20 years, where they're blown away and go, I don't want anybody else doing my books but you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're
Especially when
absolutely
they get
right.
feedback from the accountants and they get your year end, and they're like,
Yeah.
wow, that was,
Yeah.
it's reassuring
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
Yeah, I have lots of accountants that give my clients discounts if they use me and stuff, but
Nice.
Well,
they don't know that.
That nowadays.
It's really good.
Pardon me?
Price. I have an accountant that gives my clients a really good year-end price if they go to him. So I always say, if you don't, and I'm not trying to steal anybody. I said, if you already have an accountant, that's great. If you don't, or you're not completely satisfied with whom you have, I can recommend a guy that I work with, Liaison, for the last 20 odd years, and he'll take good care of you, and he knows how I do stuff, and we just have a great working relationship, and he charges well accordingly.
Well, and again, we've got the same thing with Jonathan Carter. He's like great, and it's the same thing. So he gives our clients a discount because, of course, you know, again, he's our top that we refer to. There's many out there.
Have you ever seen one of the invoices? And I'm sure Jonathan is great. But what does he put on his invoice?
Sometimes he invoices us, and sometimes he invoices the client. So,
Right. So what's the description on his invoice under discount when he gives you the discount?
So he doesn't actually put it down as a discount when he's invoicing the client. When he invoices us,
Give
it's
us price.
a discount because the way that I look at it, I'll take the discount if I'm going to be responsible for the client's payment. So
Okay. No, I'm not thinking about it in that terms, Tanya. I'm thinking about it in the terms of actually collaborating with a bookkeeping firm. I would want to see on the invoice the amount that they're charging for the year end, and underneath it, Tanya's bookkeeping discount.
And
Totally.
yeah, and I don't believe he does.
My
That's what it
my
should.
accountant does. It's Soma discount.
Okay.
I'll have to talk to my guy about that.
And that says collaboration. That tells your client that there is collaboration going on and that there's respect between the two.
Right. And you're right. And it's part of the reason, of course, you know, that Jonathan gives a discount because he's the top referral, but part of it is because he knows, especially when we're doing the books. Now, if we've got a client who is one of the ones that we're just consulting on, they don't get the they don't get the discount, you know, as much of a discount that the ones we do, because again, it's a difference in how clean it is, right? So, but that's interesting. I'll have to actually mention that to him.
Bianca moved up a step.
Anyway, we've gone over.
Watch this.
We have.
You'll be right beside Tanya.
We have gone over.
Well, you're right beside me on my screen, but yeah. So we've gone over. So yeah, so I guess we
I
can.
got shopping to do. My husband
Yeah.
gave me a gift card for my birthday.
Yes. And thank you for joining us, Diane. That was I'm glad you were here, Bianca, because Sherry said to me, she says, send Diane a message to make sure she's there. And I totally forgot. I got sidetracked until I saw Bianca. I'm like, oh, we need your mom. She's like, I can get her. Okay.
Mommy!
That's great.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy Friday.
Well, thank
Happy
you.
Have a great
everybody.
weekend.
Have a great
See
weekend.
you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bianca, we got to chat. We got to get together.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
I'll message you.
Okay. Bye.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
bye.